So I come down here, thought I'd let the chickens out. It's a beautiful day today. Temperatures are gonna get cold again. We're gonna get down in the single digits here pretty soon. So I thought I'd let them out before they got too cold. Sometimes it gets too cold, they don't want to come out. They'll just stay inside the coop all day. I was told by somebody, a commenter this morning, that I need to start raising manly men meat products. Stop with the wimpy chicken stuff. Told me that the raising chickens is more of a kids and women's job. You need to start raising some bigger animals. And they listed off the animals: goats and sheep and pigs. Well, first of all, I am raising pigs this spring. I'm going to raise pigs, but that's beside the point. The manly men. And I thought, you know, that's a really good idea. I didn't think about that. Boy, yeah, sit around drinking beer and watching football. Let the women go out and bring food home. That's how manly men do things. Let the women do all the work, right? Oh man, I tell you, some people are just absolutely terrible individuals. He's probably complaining about the shelves being empty at the store and the inflation cost, and just absolutely irate about how expensive things are. Yet I just had a fantastic egg and sausage meal. Haven't been to the grocery store in probably 2 months. We got plenty of food. I don't have to worry about it. We knew this was going to happen, and here we got all the food in the world. I'm glad he's a manly man starving to death, because I'm not. I got this when I was canning food too. Oh no, that's a woman's job. You need to go out there and do the smoker. Yet once again, I got 300 days worth of food at the time. We've ate quite a bit of it, but we got 300 days worth of food, and I don't have to worry about going to the store when the shelves are empty. I don't have to worry about any of it. John from Texas just showed me a picture. Once again, his store is empty. Meat section is empty. I know it's happening. I'll sit here and be a wuss while I'm eating my food, and this guy can enjoy sitting around complaining about the high cost of food and empty shelves. I also got another question. It was a little bit more serious and not so hateful. About, Rob, my town won't let me raise chickens. And I do understand that. I hear that a lot. HOAs. I don't know where this person lived. Here, I would say in the middle of the country, it's getting easier all the time to raise chickens. I think more and more municipalities are allowing people to raise chickens. But you just got to be respectful of the neighbors. I think that's the biggest thing. But before I get into how to raise chickens and how you can get your town to let you raise chickens, I wanted to start with rabbits. Now, I'm not a big rabbit fan. I've tried to raise rabbits. I just didn't like it. But rabbits are going to be easier to raise in a municipality. You can store rabbits in your garage. Nobody would know. You can put them out in the back. Nobody would know. Next to the shed, in the shed. Nobody's going to know. But the problem is rabbits are a lot of work. Let's say you got 100 rabbits. That means you got to have 100 cages. Even if you decide to put 2 in each cage, that's still 50 cages. And every night you have to go in there, feed the rabbits, water the rabbits 50 times. Whereas the chickens, you throw a pan or a bucket of water out there, a bucket or pan of food, and it's good for all day for 14 chickens. So chickens to me are just a lot easier to work with. The biggest downside to rabbits is the butchering process. It's a lot of work. I mean, we butcher chickens over the summer. That's a lot of work too. Raising chickens over rabbits is easier because basically if you're going to raise them in town, you're not going to be raising them to butcher. You're going to be raising them for the eggs. And eggs are amazingly healthy. The more eggs that Carolyn and I put into our diet, I would say Carolyn's now putting 50 to 60% of our meals in eggs. This spring we'll probably have eggs in every meal. It's reducing our food costs. A lot of people say chickens cost more than it would if you just bought the food at the store. That's not true. You know, I was eating peanut butter for lunch about 4 times a day. I was having like 4 lunches a day. And think about that. It just wasn't filling you up because you got all those carbohydrates and sugars. You're spending all that money in bread. Whereas I eat 3 eggs, I'm full. So it's the reduction in food that you're actually is the savings. But if you went to the store and said, okay, I'm going to buy eggs, and then you say, okay, I got a dozen eggs here. No, those dozen eggs compared to the eggs at the store are much more expensive. Now, before I get into chickens, there's one other thing I'd like for you to consider. Ducks. I do think that municipalities would be more lenient to people who wanted to raise ducks. Ducks are a novelty item. Everybody likes ducks, right? You go to the pond at the local park, you can feed the ducks. You could just put ducks in your backyard. You could put out a little kiddie pool and they could swim around in. When I had ducks, we didn't have any water source that they could swim around in. They seemed fine, they were happy. And the thing is duck eggs is like double of everything of a chicken egg. Now I know somebody's gonna Google that and say, no, the riboflavin or whatever is half of what a chicken egg is. But in general, duck eggs have twice as much nutrients as a chicken egg. They also have twice as much flavor. You eat a duck egg, think about a fresh chicken egg and then double that flavor. They are awesomely good. I like duck eggs and I considered raising duck eggs, except I don't know one thing. I don't know if Carolyn can eat them. When I was raising them, my ex-wife, my wife at the time, struggled eating duck eggs. It made her sick. And she claimed, I didn't actually read the article, but she claimed, and I don't have any reason to doubt her, that B12, I think it was B12, I Googled it, I couldn't find any information on this. So I'm kind of trying to go with memory, so forgive me if I got some of the data wrong. But I think it was B12. Women who have children struggle processing B12. Well, duck eggs has a ton of it. Remember, double the chicken egg. So it made her sick. Not sick, but just an upset stomach. So a third of our family wasn't eating them. My daughter and I could eat them. So we were selling quite a few duck eggs. And one of our neighbors came over and said, can I have chicken eggs this time? Because I can't eat the duck eggs. It makes my stomach upset. Ah, so maybe it is. So there was two people I know, two females I know that couldn't eat duck eggs. So if you're going to raise ducks, highly recommend it. But if you're going to do it, I would recommend that you buy duck eggs somewhere and see if you can eat it. If I can find anybody raising ducks, I am going to buy some duck eggs from them and see if Carolyn can eat them. But I think ducks would be a lot easier in a municipality to raise. I don't think anybody's going to complain. And they're not noisy. Which brings me to chickens. If you bring chickens into an area, or you bring it up to your board, you know, your council members, they're going to say they're noisy. Yeah, roosters are noisy. And you know you're going to get that one jerk who's going to get a rooster and be noisy. Frenchie and Rue are up before me. I get at 5 o'clock and they're screaming way before I'm up. This morning they were screaming at a fox. The fox was across the road. When I came down, I could hear the fox and they're screaming at him. I said, get out of here. And I could hear him, he ran off. But in the middle of the night, they'll scream too, because if there's a predator around, even a dog, they'll start screaming to let the hens know that there's a problem. So yeah, don't get roosters. Don't be that one person. If you're wanting to raise chickens in town, you got to sell it to your neighbors. You got to make them think it's a good idea. And so you're going to hang around with people, like-minded people. Me, I don't hang around with people, so this will be a little bit more challenging, but I think everybody around here is kind of like-minded. They all want that freedom to do what they want. If they want to raise chickens, they're going to raise chickens. So I moved to an area that was like-minded. But you're going to have people who agree with you on things. And if they don't, it's not hard to sell them on it. What you got to do is, man, the food shelves are empty around here. I'd sure like to raise some chicken eggs. And of course they're going to say, oh no, they're too noisy and they're going to have this problem, this problem. Well, you're the educated one. You know that, roosters are the only thing that are noisy. If you got rid of the roosters, don't raise roosters. Now the biggest thing is if you go to the Orschelns and you buy chicks, sometimes they mess that up and they'll put roosters in with them. So you got to get rid of them as soon as you know that they're a rooster. The first time they crow, they got to go. I am a poet and didn't know it. But then you go to the board meetings and you start explaining, bring your friends who now agree with you that you want to raise chickens. And they're going to fight you. But then again, you got to educate them. And you got to tell them that they're not going to be representing you much longer if they don't allow us to raise chickens. Chickens are like pets to me. I have already recorded this video once, but my camera messed up. The chickens got a little far away, just like a dog does. Oh, freedom! And so they went over there. I've got them trained now. I mean, I've been struggling with it, but I got them trained now where I was able to come up here and say, okay, get down there. What are you doing? And they all piled up in their little, cluster, their little flock, and they all start walking back to where they're supposed to be. So they are trainable with a little bit of work. And you have to show people that they're like a pet. Carolyn and I come down here every day, feed them treats. We talk to them. Carolyn has thought about getting a dog, but she knows that we can't raise a dog in a little tiny house. She knows it. And so the other day she says, no, I just treat the chickens like my pet. I enjoy them. I talk to them, I feed them out of my hands. And she has really enjoyed that sense of having a pet with the chickens. Whether you're a man or a woman, chickens are kind of fun to have around. They all have their little personalities. I got chickens and I wasn't sure I was allowed to have chickens, 14 years ago. I didn't think anybody would complain except one neighbor. I thought he would complain. But again, once we realized we had roosters, we got rid of the roosters. And he never said anything. He really didn't like us. But he never said anything. So we just brought the chickens in, and a little bit at a time, we brought some chickens in, then we brought some sheep in and goats. He never said a word. Now this is a guy who got mad that I had too many dogs. We had 3 dogs, and he just hated that. So he turned us into the city saying he got too many dogs, and of course the city didn't do anything. He was just a grumpy person, that's all. Once we got the chicks, I was surprised he never said anything. So it might be something that you just can bring in and see what happens. Bring one in, put it in the backyard, see if anybody complains. Especially here in the center of the country. Now, if you live out on the east and west coast, they're not gonna let you have chickens. It's gonna be a real fight. And the reason is, in my opinion, I don't know this for sure, but it seems to me, the reason they're not gonna let you have chickens on the east and west coast is because they don't want you eating meat. They don't like the idea of you eating meat, so why not just restrict your ability to raise meat or do anything with meat? You got to eat tofu. So anyway, I'm going to put a box right here. If you'll click that, it'll take you to the other channel. Probably lighten your day, hopefully, with some humor. I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe if you like the channel. So I hope I can inspire you. I hope I can inspire you to raise your own chickens so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.